Draw 1 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Defending champion Team Canada skipped by Brad Gushue, taking on Ontario and John Epping. Second end, no score, second stones. Team Canada's Brett Gallant eyeing the triple. And look at that. What a great shot by Gallant. The end went on to blank. It remained zeros through a couple of ends. To the fourth we go, still 0-0. Team Canada, a chance for a deuce after a well-played end, including a Gallant double. And Gushue, just a nice piece of the 12-foot, and that is good for the pair. The Gushue rink has won 3 of the last 4 Briers. They open the scoring. It's 2-0. Fifth end, skip stones. Epping's first with hammer, trying the split. And how good is that? 3 reds in the rings now, and maybe a chance for multiple points for Ontario. Then after Gushue made a great draw, Epping trying the in-off on the red rock in the right side of the rings for 2. Can't make it. Ontario has to settle for a single. It's 2-1 Team Canada at the break. 6th end, third stones. Team Canada's Mark Nichols eyeing the triple takeout, and what another great shot by Team Canada as he makes it, and the yellow rock sits buried as Team Canada is in good shape. Then after Epping made a good run back, Gushue looking at the hit and roll. By the guard it goes, makes the hit and gets the roll buried. Team Canada would go on to score a deuce in the end, and they lead 4-1. 7th end, Ontario looking for the single. Epping, a hit and stick facing a couple, but that is a miss as the shooter rolls out. Team Canada steals 1. They go on top, 5-1. 8th end, Gushue's first without hammer. Looking at the raised takeout, and Gushue makes it and sits buried. Team Canada forced Ontario in the end. Gushue curled 100% in the game as Team Canada opens up their title defense with a 6-2 victory.
Over to Kevin Koe, who was eyeing a 5th Brier title, his wildcard rink taking on Nova Scotia. Opening end, Koe a chance for a couple, makes the hit. The yellow spills just far enough. That is good for 2. Koe rink opens the scoring. Now 5-3 in the 7th. Koe looking at the raise takeout, facing 1 to get multiple points. Koe makes it. They go on to take it and open up with a win. 7-4, the final.
Draw 2 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Brendan Bottcher and Team Alberta taking on Jason Gunnlaugson's Manitoba rink. After 3 straight blanks to open the game, Manitoba sitting 2, Bottcher's first without hammer, wipes out the 1 yellow stone, and rolls crosshouse, just gets enough to wipe out the second yellow. Terrific double by Bottcher. Manitoba forced to blank again. 6th end, it's now 1-0 Manitoba. It's Bottcher with hammer. Alberta has second shot stone, just biting the top of the 12-foot. And Bottcher, well, he makes no mistake. The hit to score the deuce. Alberta takes the 2-1 lead. In the 7th, it's Gunnlaugson with hammer, facing 3, looking at a double to tie things up. But Gunnlaugson, with other plans, goes for the triple, can't get the shooter to stick around. It's a single for Manitoba, and that ties things up. 8th end, after a great draw to the button from Gunnlaugson, Bottcher has hammer, facing 1, gets a piece of the yellow but can't push it far enough. A steal of 1, and Manitoba takes the 3-2 lead. 9th end, Alberta has first and third shot stones. Bottcher with hammer. Great double, gets both yellow stones moving. Alberta scores the deuce. They're up 1 heading home. In the 10th, Bottcher's last without hammer. Sitting 1, looking to chip away that yellow stone. But Bottcher picks out his own. A costly miss by the 3-time Brier finalists. So now it's Gunnlaugson with hammer. All he needs is a piece of the rings for the win, and he does it. Manitoba gets the deuce in the 10th end. They begin their run at the Brier with a 5-4 win.
Draw 3 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Saskatchewan and Matt Dunstone facing John Epping and Ontario, who are coming off a loss. Here is TSN's Russ Howard pregame.
They were very lethargic with their strategy, with the way they approached the entire game. They cannot do that against Saskatchewan. They have to sit in that dressing room, and this is it. 0-2 will not cut it in this field.
So yeah, just a huge game for Ontario. Pick it up second end. Saskatchewan with hammer. Dunstone drawing against 3 Ontario Rocks, and that is a great draw for the single as Saskatchewan opens the scoring. It's 1-0. Next end, third stones. Ontario's Ryan Fry facing one that is buried, and look at that double raise takeout. A great shot there by Fry. The end went on to blank, so Ontario retains the hammer. Fifth end we go, still 1-0. Epping facing a couple, needs a big chunk of the button for the single.
Matt Cam on the right, Brent Lang, got to get it by that one.
Come on, buddy, all you got.
All the carry is to take it as far as they can. Take it as far as they can. What a shot as he got it. Oh, they did.
What a brush to get the stone there as Ontario ties it up at 1 apiece. Sixth end we go, third stones. Saskatchewan's Braden Muskowie facing one, makes the hit and roll. Epping couldn't make the double, so Saskatchewan would go on to score 2 in the end, and they lead 3-1. But back comes Ontario. Seventh end, Epping facing 3 with hammer. Needs a big-time draw, and that is lovely touch. Ontario gets the single, and they're now down 3-2. Next end, Ontario in some trouble. Epping needs a hit and roll, and the skipper makes it. Dunstone would miss on his last, and Ontario stole a point, and that ties it up at 3. Ninth end, Saskatchewan, a chance for a big end. Dunstone just has to take out that yellow. Dunstone misses, and that is another steal for Ontario, and they lead 4-3 coming home. Final end, Dunstone looking at the long angle raise takeout for 1 and to force an extra end. Here it comes into the rings, but just misses. Ontario scored the final 5 points to win it. Both teams are now 1-1 at the Tim Hortons Brier, 6-3 the final. Tim Hortons Brier draw 4, wildcard ring skipped by Mike McEwen, coming off a loss facing Brad Jacobs and his 1-0 Northern Ontario rink. To the fourth end, Northern Ontario up 3-1. Jacobs eyeing down the cross-house double on his first without hammer.
Be close. Whoa.
You got this? Here he comes. Here he comes. Here he comes. There it goes.
Wow.
What a beauty by the skipper, and Northern Ontario forced in the end. Next end we go. McEwen's last without hammer. Facing one. Makes the wonderful soft weight tap to sit shot rock. Jacobs would miss on his last. It was a steal of 1, and halfway through, it's tied at 3. Sixth end we go, and McEwen trying to answer Jacobs' fourth end cross-house double with one himself.
Hutchin trying to stay with it. Last come across. Are you going to get this? Are you going to get this? Yes, you. Oh no! It's just going to hold on.
Oh, I can't believe that didn't go.
Neither can I.
Oh, that was so close to perfection. Northern Ontario would go on to get a pair. They lead 5-3. Seventh end, McEwen's first with hammer. Trying to draw it buried behind the guard, and that is wonderful. Jacobs would miss a run back, and McEwen made the draw for 2, and this one is all squared at 5. Eighth end, after a good draw by McEwen on his last, Jacobs drawing against 3 on a path out wide that they don't know, and that comes in heavy and doesn't settle down. Ends up being a steal of 2 for the McEwen rink, and they lead 7-5. After a blank in 9, 10th end, McEwen's first without hammer.
Staying with it. By that one. Can you get it without clicking? Oh, great brush to get it to the back 4.
What a great brush, and the McEwen rink putting pressure on Northern Ontario. So Jacobs going with the in-off, but he misses that, and that then leaves him a very tough shot on his last. So Northern Ontario called a timeout, and they're trying to come in off one of their guards to make the double for 2. That is close, but Jacobs can't convert. The McEwen rink takes it, and both teams are now 1-1.
Draw 5 at the Tim Hortons Brier. John Epping and Team Ontario taking on Jamie Murphy's Nova Scotia rink, skipped by Scott McDonald. First end, Epping has hammer, facing 3, looking to limit the damage and get on the board with a single. but he crashes into the guard. A steal of 3 for Nova Scotia. They're out in front early. But very next end, Epping, again with hammer, looking at a draw to score at least 2. The Ontario skip, right to the button, so good enough for a deuce. Then, after the measurement, it's confirmed, 3 red, Ontario ties it up. Fourth end, now a 4-3 Nova Scotia lead. How about this shot from Ontario second Matt Cam? Wipes out 3 yellow stones, great triple. However, Nova Scotia would steal 1 in the end. So in the 5th, it's 5-3 Nova Scotia. McDonald's last without hammer. Facing 2, McDonald skipped Team Ontario at the 2019 Brier. Big mistake here. Picks out his own. That led to a draw for 3 for Epping. They take a 6-5 lead at the break. 7th end, skip stones. Epping's last without hammer. Possibly facing 2. And the 2018 Brier bronze medalist with a great double to sit 3. Nova Scotia forced to the single. It's all tied at 6. Next end, 3rd stones. Brier Friday facing 3. And check out this beauty. Makes 2 yellow stones disappear and pulls the 2 red stones over. Terrific shot. Nova Scotia would steal 1 in the end. 9th end, now 7-6 Ontario. McDonald with hammer, looking at a draw to score the deuce. Has some backing, but McDonald's line is off. Misses everything. Just the single for Nova Scotia. It's all tied heading home. So in the 10th, Nova Scotia needing a steal for the win. McDonald's last without hammer, facing 4, gets it to sit for shot stone, but leaves a wide open hit for the win for Epping, and the Ontario skipper makes no mistake. A hit for 5 gives Ontario a 12-7 win. They improve to 2-1.
Team Ontario as they pull it off here on this Sunday morning.
Draw 6 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Mike McEwen's wildcard team taking on Steve Laycock's BC rink. Second end, Team BC up 2-0. McEwen's last without hammer, facing 3, runs the Yellowstone back, but drives it by both BC stones. Tough miss for McEwen. That led to a 3 spot for BC. Next end, McEwen a chance at redemption, has a hit for a single, but a tough path to get there. McEwen gets it by the guard, gets the hit, and pushes the yellow far enough to score the deuce. Great shot gives Team Wildcard a 4-3 lead. Fourth end, Wildcard sitting 1. Jim Cotter throwing 4th stones for BC, looking at a draw to score the single and tie things up. But Cotter comes up just a hair light on the draw weight. It's a steal of 1 for Team Wildcard. 7th end, BC down 7-4. Cotter with hammer, facing 2. Lots of traffic in front of the house. Cotter curls it around the guard, taps the yellow back to score the single. Terrific shot. BC only down 2. Next end, BC has shot stone. McEwen with hammer, runs his own stone back, makes the yellow disappear. Team Wildcard with the deuce. That puts them up 9-5. McEwen and Team Wildcard would go on to win it 10-7. They improve to 2-1.
Draw 7 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Kevin Koe and his wildcard rink coming in at 3-0, taking on Brad Gushue and his Team Canada rink at 2-0. Opening end, skip stones. Gushue's first with hammer, looking to come right behind the guard, and that is pretty good. Koe would miss on his last, and Gushue would draw for a couple. Team Canada opens a scoring. Next end, some 3rd stones. Team Koe's BJ Neufeld already sitting 1. Great touch as he draws in to sit a couple. The Koe wildcard rink would go on to score 3 in the end. They go on top.
Second favorite turn.
Skip to the 4th. Koe's last without hammer. Going with the short slash angle takeout, facing 1.
Can you help this over? Can you touch this on the way by? Yes, you can.
And just a beauty there. The Koe rink putting on the pressure. So now Gushue drawing against those 3 yellows. And that is perfect. Team Canada gets the single, and it's all tied at 3. 6th end, Koe's rink a chance for a couple. Draw to a nice chunk of the 4-foot, and the skipper makes it. And that makes it a 5-3 game for the Koe team. Next end, after Koe nearly made a brilliant shot to roll buried, Gushue a hit and stick for 2 and to tie it back up, and Gushue converts, and this one is all tied at 5.
Same spot as last
to the
time.
10th end, Team Canada up 7-6. Skip stones. Gushue needs to at least hit second rock facing 3 yellows, but that draw comes down too deep and gives Koe an opening to just remove it and win the game. So here we go, Koe's last, and just get rid of that red.
Just nurse it down. Watch that.
The Koe wildcard ring takes it. They stay undefeated. 9-7, the final.
Draw 8 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Brendan Bottcher and Team Alberta taking on Glenn Howard's wildcard rink, skipped by Wayne Middaugh. Fourth end, Alberta up 1-0, third stones. Check out this shot by Darren Moulding. Makes all 3 yellow stones disappear to sit 3. Excellent shot. They force Team Wildcard to just a single. Fifth end, tied at 1. Bottcher with hammer, sitting 1. Looking at a tough draw, needs full 4-foot for the deuce, and he slides it in perfectly. Right to the button. Great shot by the 3-time Brier finalist. Eighth end, now a 4-2 Alberta lead. Middaugh with hammer, facing at least 1. Looking at a crowded back of the 12-foot, and he comes up light on the draw weight. It's a steal of 1. That makes it 5-2 Alberta. In the 10th end, now 5-3. Bottcher's first, looking to end it with a double, and he makes it. Great shot to give Alberta the 5-3 win. Bottcher's rink improves to 3-1.
Draw 9 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Jamie Murphy's Nova Scotia rink, skipped by Scott McDonald facing Michael Fournier and Quebec. And what a game this was. Pick it up in the second end, Nova Scotia down 2-0. McDonald's first facing 3 Quebec Rocks, and this is pretty good. Angle taps their own in for shot rock to the 4-foot. Fournier would miss, and McDonald made a shot for 2, and it's all tied. To the 6th end we go, tied at 3. Fournier's last without hammer. Looking at the Rays takeout and roll, and look at this. So good as the Rays rock rolls buried to the back button. That was the stolen point. It's 4-3 Quebec. 7th end we go, and look at that bunched up house. McDonald's first with hammer, trying to raise in his own and rattle those rocks around. And how good is that? He does a really, really nice job as that yellow is now surrounded by reds. So now Fournier going for the double, and what a big miss. That is all over the guard and leaves an opportunity for Nova Scotia to pop a 4 and take control. So here we go, McDonald with hammer, and to take a 3-point lead.
Can they get a 4 spot here, Nova Scotia? Stay with it all the way. Bang, and look at that.
Nova Scotia scores 4 points, and they go on top 7-4. Next end, after Fournier and McDonald made great shots, Fournier going for the double and get multiple points.
Got to come up, though. They haven't laid a lick to it. Got to touch something. Oh, and look at it spin. Keep going. Oh, my.
What a shot to score 2, and Quebec is back in it, down 1. 9th end we go. Nova Scotia facing 1. McDonald needs a big chunk of the lid for a single.
Zachary. Crowell. Fleming calling line. Oh, come on. Really? Really? Wow.
And that is so good for the single point. Nova Scotia is up 2, coming home. Final end we go. Nova Scotia in some trouble, facing 4. McDonald on his first makes the incredible triple takeout. That escapes the trouble. Nova Scotia would go on to win in what was just a great Brier game. 9-6, the final.
Draw 10 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Glenn Howard's wildcard team, skipped by Wayne Middaugh, taking on Mike McEwen's rink. Pick it up in the 5th end, tied at 2, third stones. Scott Howard had himself a game. Here he makes the run back double to wipe out both yellows, and that set up Middaugh later in the end. With hammer, just needs full 8-foot for the deuce. Great draw weight. 2 on the board gives wildcard 3 a 4-2 lead. 7th end, now 4-3. Middaugh has hammer. His first, gets by the guard, and makes the double. Terrific shot by the 3-time Brier champion, and Glenn Howard, he loves it. In the 8th, Middaugh in some trouble, with hammer but facing 3, and he overcurls it, wipes out shot stone, but the shooter spills out. A steal of 2 gives McEwen's rink a 5-4 lead heading home. So in the 10th, wildcard 1 has shot rock, McEwen with hammer, clips his own, but goes right to the 4-foot to sit 2. So all the pressure on Middaugh needs a deuce for the win.
What has he got? Final stone here in 10, down by 1.
Hard, Tim. Come on, buddy. Come on, Tim.
The 3-time Brier champ. Big scrum, all he's got. Get the yellows moving. Bang him. Squirt that yellow. How far? Oh, what a win for Wayne Middaugh.
What a shot from Middaugh, playing in his first Brier since 2013. Walks it off to give his team a 6-5 win. Howard's wildcard rink improves to 3-1.
Draw 11, Tim Hortons Brier. Team Canada skipped by Brad Gushue, facing Jamie Murphy's Nova Scotia ring, skipped by Scott McDonald. Gushue trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. First end, chance for a couple after McDonald missed a double. Needs to draw full 8, and that is money by the skipper as Team Canada opens the scoring 2-0. Third end, after a single by Nova Scotia. Third stones, Team Canada's Mark Nichols makes the beauty double peel. That opens things up for Team Canada and maybe helps themselves out for a multiple point end. So now let's go to skip stones. McDonald's last without hammer, trying to put the pressure on, but that draw comes down too deep. A huge miss and leaves the door open for Gushue to score 3. And all Gushue needs to do is a hit and stick. He makes the hit and sticks around. Team Canada takes control. They go on top, 5-1. But back comes Nova Scotia in the fourth. Third stones, Paul Fleming. And this is a dandy. Looking at the double raise triple, and he makes it. That helped set up a deuce in the end for Nova Scotia. They're back in it, down by 2. Fifth end, Nova Scotia. Chance to maybe force Team Canada to do a single. McDonald trying to come down to that yellow, but that sails through. Gushue would make the open draw for 2, and Team Canada leads 7-3 at the break. To the sixth end, third stones and back to Nichols. Looking at the double takeout on the Reds, and how nice is that? He makes it, and they went on to force Nova Scotia in the end. Seventh end we go, Gushue with hammer, eyeing the hit and roll for the single point, and the skipper, with some great touch there, converts for 1 as Team Canada leads 8-4. Final end we go, Team Canada with hammer, trying to finish it off, up by 2. Second stones, Brett Gallant comes in off the guard and removes the red in the 12-foot as Team Canada would go on to win it. They snap their 2-game losing streak. 8-6 is the final. Draw 12, Tim Hortons Brier. 4-0, Jason Gunnlaugson in Manitoba, facing 4-1 New Brunswick and James Grand. New Brunswick has been a surprise so far. Here's third, Jonathan Buke, after their draw 10 win.
I know that we're not the favorite here this week, but we think we're playing well. We think we can win if we all play together. And I know it's not probably in the script for us to win this thing, but sometimes the best stories aren't part of the script. So hopefully we can win a few more games.
And the winner of this game will sit in top spot of the pool. Opening end, Grattan, a chance for a couple, facing 1. But the rock doesn't come over and sails through the rings. That is a steal of 1 for Manitoba. It's 1-0. Third end, tied at 1. Gunnlaugson's first with hammer. Makes a really good one as he makes the hit and forced Grand to a tough double, which he didn't make, and Gunnlaugson made the draw for 2. It's 3-1 Manitoba. Next end, Gunnlaugson's last without hammer, facing 1, trying to tap the red back, and how good is that? Manitoba is sitting 2, making Grand try a tough in-off on his last. So here we go, Grand needing a big-time shot.
Now it is Manitoba sitting to 2. James Grattan. I'm going to have to bail. And you hear the can saying, I got to get out of here. I'm running out of room. What do you got? Come across. Are you going to make it? Oh, and move it far enough. Oh, and not quite.
So close to perfection, but it was a steal of 2, and Manitoba goes on top, 5-1. Fifth, then we go. Manitoba facing 3. Gunnlaugson's first without hammer. Big weight double attempt, and he makes it. New Brunswick did get a couple, but that was a pretty nice one from Gunnlaugson. It's 5-3 Manitoba at the break. To the 6th, and we go. After Grand made a great draw, Gunnlaugson going with the raise takeout for as many as 3, and he makes it. He does lose the raise rock, but they get 2 points, and Manitoba is back on top by 4. To the 7th we go. Grand's first with hammer. Facing 3, Manitoba rocks, makes the hit and gets the granite moving, and it ends up being New Brunswick sitting a couple after that beauty by Grand. Then, after Gunnlaugson made a draw to the forefoot, Grand just has to chip it out for 3 and to get back in it. He does get it moving, but can't move it far enough, and when all the rocks settle, it's a steal of 1. Manitoba goes on top 8-3, and they go on to take it 8 for the final and remain undefeated at the Brier.
We're gonna get 4 here, steal 4.
Oh, man. All right, well, they were back in action in draw 12. They're taking on BC, 10th end, trailing 3-2, but with Hammer, McDowell trying to tap that yellow rock away and score 2 and win.
Stay with it all the way. Now the carry. Get it by that one. Take it down by that one, and it's sitting there. Oh, who knew? The voodoo that you knew. Oh, what a shot.
What 25-year-olds are doing that? 2-game winners from Middaugh in the same day. Howard loving every second. They move on to 4-1 at the Brier, 4-3 the final. As we take a look at the standings, the top 4 teams from each pool advancing to the championship pool. And wildcard team Howard, 4-1, as you see, second in Pool A.
Wayne Middaugh had finally come to terms with retirement from competitive curling, but it was a retirement that he didn't choose. So when his former teammate Glenn Howard posed an unexpected question, would you come to the Brier? Middaugh couldn't resist. But for the 53-year-old, it was about more than just shaking off a few years of rust.
It's a dream come true when you don't think you're ever going to curl again, and then all of a sudden you're playing in the Brier. Well, all of a sudden, 5 years later, you're playing in the Brier. Like, truly is a dream.
For Middaugh, returning to the Brier was a dream that he never thought was possible. In 2016, the Brampton native was involved in a serious ski crash and spent the next 2 years regaining his ability to walk.
11 breaks in my leg. I have a 15-inch titanium tibia now. You know, I went from a hospital bed to a wheelchair to physiotherapy for a year and a half. And my life revolved in, like I say, trying to learn how to walk again. I really didn't have a lot of interest in ever playing again.
Middaugh retired from curling and was inducted into the Canadian Curling Hall of Fame as a 3-time Brier and 3-time world champion. But Howard had a hunch of what his old teammate was still capable of, and ironically, it would be another injury that brought them back together on the national stage.
I had a pretty serious snowmobile accident over a month ago. I hit a tree on a snowmobile, and my body hit the tree, and my helmet was cracked, and wasn't good. That's when we got a hold of Wayne Middaugh. We knew we were going to try to fill my shoes, and couldn't have picked a better guy.
Middaugh's last Brier appearance was in 2013, and he hadn't competed in a competitive match in 5 years. But when he stepped on the ice in the Calgary bubble, Middaugh knew it was where he belonged.
This is what I do. This is who I am. I'm a curler. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't ecstatic to get the opportunity to play again.
An incredible story of resilience 5 years after the ski crash that seemingly ended his playing career. Middaugh is back at the Brier, and he had a day to remember on Tuesday in Calgary.
Draw 13 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Matt Dunstone and Team Saskatchewan taking on Kevin Koe's wildcard rink. First end, the 4-time Brier champ going to work early. Koe with hammer, looking at a draw to score 2, and Koe slides it right to the pin. They jump out to a quick 2-0 lead. Third end, wildcard up 2-1. Koe with hammer, looking at a busy house. It's Saskatchewan shot stone. Koe throwing some big weight, gets 3 red stones moving. It's a 3 spot for Koe. Team Wildcard takes a 5-1 lead. Next end, it's Dunstone with hammer, facing 1. Tries to tap that yellow out of the way, but can't push it far enough. A steal of 1. That makes it 6-1 Wildcard. In the 5th, Dunstone, once again with hammer, facing 2. Rubs off his own rock, but it comes up just a tad light. Another steal for Team Wildcard. They go on to take it 9-2 in 8 ends. Koe's rink is now 6-0 at the Brier.
Draw 14 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Manitoba skipped by Jason Gunnlaugson, coming in 5-0, facing 4-2 Northern Ontario and Brad Jacobs. Pick it up in the 4th end, still no score after both skippers made great shots. Jacobs with hammer, trying to tap that red back for a couple, By the guard it gets, makes the tap, but it just touches their own too far. It was just the single for Northern Ontario. They take a 1-zip lead. To the fifth end, Gunnlaugson's first with hammer, eyeing down the triple takeout, big time weight, and Gunnlaugson makes it. Manitoba would go on to blank the end. They trail 1-zip halfway through. Lowest scoring game in Brier history is 3 total points. It has happened on 3 occasions. 8th end, still 1-zip. After Mark Kennedy made a nice hit and roll. Jacobs first without hammer, makes the nice freeze. And now there is pressure on Gunnlaugson and Manitoba. To Gunnlaugson with hammer. A couple options here. You can tap back their own for a single or come through the port and maybe score 2. They called timeout, and here's the discussion.
Like, it feel really good, so I want to play it, but like maybe it's stupid. Is it? You would play for one, right, Matt?
Like, it looks like, can you make it for 2, you think?
Yeah, just like hack, pick it off.
Just try and push it here.
Well, I think that's a tough shot for 2.
Hackweight does that, Jay?
No, tap.
I just don't see Hackweight moving.
I agree. I like that.
So they're going with tapping back their own for the single and to tie it up, but it doesn't get enough of it. That is a big steal for Northern Ontario. They go on top, 2-zip. 9th end, Manitoba facing 1. Gunnlaugson trying to remove all the granite and take the hammer to 10 with a blank. Misses the Northern Ontario rock. That is a steal of 1. Northern Ontario ran Manitoba out of rocks in the 10th, and for the first time since 1998, a team gets shut out at the Brier, and the 3 points also matches the lowest scoring game ever between 2 teams. Northern Ontario takes it 3-0, the final.
Wayne Middaugh skipping the Glenn Howard rink and taking on New Brunswick, and they're coming in with a 4-1 record, leading New Brunswick 4-3 in the 9th end. And Middaugh looking at the raised double, and he makes it. And they take a 3-point lead. New Brunswick scoring 3 in the 10th, so it goes to an extra end. And in the 11th end, after James Grattan hit and rolled to a wide open spot, Middaugh just a hit and stick. That's for the win. Middaugh converts. And they're rolling. They take it 7-6, the final there.
Draw 15, Tim Hortons Brier, Kevin Koe and his 6-0 wildcard rink with a win over John Epping and Ontario would clinch first place in Pool B. After the Koe rink forced in the opening end, second end, Koe's first with hammer, looking to just tap that yellow back and get a good roll and sit a couple, and that is so nice by the skipper. They would go on to score 2 in the end to take the lead. Next end, Ontario looking to answer second stones. Matt Cam makes the hit and gets the roll buried. Overall, just a well-played end by Ontario to generate a couple. They take the 3-2 lead. Fourth end, Ontario putting some pressure on the Koe rink. Koe with hammer facing a couple, trying to hit and roll inside for 1. The Brushers do a great job, and it gets by the guard, makes the hit and rolls inside for the single, and this one is all tied at 3. To the 5th, Epping's first with hammer, trying to wrap one around the guard and set up a multiple point end, and that is a great shot to sit shot rock. Koe would miss the run back. Epping made the draw for 2, and it's 5-3 Ontario. To the 6th end we go, the Koe rink sitting a couple. Epping trying the little hit and roll and sit buried, and that is wonderful touch as Ontario is now sitting 1. So now to Koe, trying the double raise takeout. That doesn't get any of the yellows. Team Ontario steals a big 2 points. They go on top, 7-3. Next end, Koe rink, a chance for a couple back. The short raise takeout, but that is a miss. It ends up being another steal for Ontario. They take an 8-3 lead. They stole another in the 8th end, and that was it. Handshakes. Epping and Ontario hand the Koe rink their first loss at the Brier, 9-3, the final.
Draw 16 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Brad Jacobs and his Northern Ontario rink taking on Glenn Howard's wildcard team, skipped by Wayne Middaugh. After Middaugh made a draw for the deuce to take a 2-0 lead, his first without hammer in the second end, maneuvers it past the guards and gets it in there for shot stone. So now Jacobs with hammer. Northern Ontario has second and third shot stones, tries the angle raise, but it's off the mark. A steal of 1, and it's 3-0 Team Wildcard. Then in the third, Northern Ontario looking for a big end. They have second and third shot stones. Jacobs with hammer. Hits the one yellow, but can't get the shooter to knock away the second, so it's just the single for Northern Ontario. Fifth end, now 4-1 for Howard's Rink. Wildcard with second and third shot stones. Jacobs first with hammer. Makes 3 yellow stones disappear. A great shot. Northern Ontario scores 2 in the end. In the sixth, Wildcard now up 4-3. Middaugh's first with hammer, facing one. Runs his own stone back and picks out the red. Great shot. Middaugh would draw for a deuce with his next shot. Ninth end, Wildcard up 7-5. Jacobs with hammer, but facing 4. The former Olympic gold medalist finds a way, runs the Yellowstone back, taps the red to score the single. Northern Ontario down 1 heading home. So a 1-point game in the 10th. Middaugh has hammer, but facing 2. Giving up a seal would mean a loss or an extra end. But the 3-time Brier champ gets it done. Perfect drawaway for the win. Howard's Rink moves to 6-1. They're now top spot in Pool A.
He's made all kinds of shots today, made some wonderful runs, but from the
Draw 17 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Matt Dunstone and Team Saskatchewan taking on Jamie Murphy's Nova Scotia rink, skipped by Scott McDonald. Second end, Dunstone with hammer, facing 1, but can score 3 if he chips away that yellow. And Dunstone makes a great shot, picks away the Nova Scotia rock. Saskatchewan takes a 3-zip lead. Next end, lots of rocks in play. Nova Scotia has second shot stone. McDonald with hammer, but he wrecks on the guard. A steal of 1. It's 4-0 Saskatchewan quickly. Seventh end, now 5-2. Dunstone with hammer, facing 2. Makes the hit and stick to score the single, so Saskatchewan has a 4-point cushion. In the 8th end, it's 6-2. Nova Scotia sitting 3. Dunstone trying to run his own stone back and wipe out those 2 yellows, but he misses the double, only picks away the 1. The shooter spills out. Tough break for Dunstone. Nova Scotia would score 3 in the end and cut it to 1. So in the 9th, it's Nova Scotia sitting 2. Dunstone has hammer, just trying to get the blank and keep the hammer for the 10th, but the shooter jams to the back. Nova Scotia forces them to the single. So in the 10th, it's Nova Scotia with hammer, down 2. Dunstone's last, facing 2, and he puts it to bed. Makes the double for the win. Saskatchewan wins it 7-5. Dunstone's rink finishes pool play at 6-2.
Draw 18 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Wayne Middaugh skipping the Glen Howard wildcard rink. They're coming in at 6-1, facing 5-2, Jason Gunnlaugson and Manitoba. Winner wins the pool, so second end, Howard rink up 1. Middaugh facing 3 with his last without hammer. Another beauty there by Middaugh, gets the rink out of trouble, and the end went on to blank. Next end, Gunnlaugson, a chance for a couple. A lot of that yellow in the 4-foot is covered.
Jason.
Gets by the guard, makes the hit, and it goes far enough as Manitoba gets the pair. It's 2-1.
Can make this double with Adams.
Fifth end we go, same score. Gunnlaugson's first without hammer, looking for the double, and he makes that. The 5th went on to blank, and at the break, it's Manitoba on top, 2-1.
Does finally
6th end, Gunnlaugson's first without hammer. Look at all that granite in the rings, trying to move those yellows around, and this is so good from Gunnlaugson. It ends up being Manitoba sitting a single. So now Middaugh going for the double tap to score a single, and Middaugh makes it. The Howard and Middaugh teams score 1, and it's all tied at 2.
1 yellow at draw. This is
to the 8th, then we go, same score, second stones. David Mathers of the Howard Middaugh rink facing 1, makes a beauty as the stone gets across the nose, makes the tap, and they're now sitting 1. So to Gunnlaugson with hammer. Instead of drawing for 1, trying the in-off for a couple, and Gunnlaugson cannot make it. That is a huge steal, as it is now 3-2 for the Howard Middaugh rink. 9th end, Gunnlaugson has a double opportunity for 4 points and to take a 3-point lead coming home.
Jason
Makes one, comes across, can't get the other out. It's just 2 points. 4-3 Manitoba coming home. 10th end we go after a couple Manitoba misses. Third stones, the Howard Middaugh's team, Scott Howard. And the Brushers do an incredible job to get the stone there for second shot. Just a great brush and a great team shot. So now to Gunnlaugson's last without hammer. Needs to sit at least second shot. Trying to come off the yellow, but it slides underneath, and the Howard Middaugh team wins another, and they win Pool A with a big win.
Pick up the win.
Draw 19 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Championship pool play begins. Kevin Koe and his wildcard rink taking on Team Alberta and Brendan Bottcher. Second end, Bottcher has hammer, sitting one, but looking at a messy house. And how good is this? Comes off the red and angles out that wildcard stone to score 4. What an incredible shot by the 3-time Brier finalist. Alberta jumps out to the quick 4-0 lead. Very next end, Koe has hammer, sitting one, but lots of traffic in front of the rings, attempting a tough raise split, runs his own stone back and pushes those red stones in to score 3. What a shot. Koe has won the last 3 meetings at the Brier against Bottcher, team wildcard, back within 1. So how would Bottcher respond in the 4th? He has hammer, facing 3. He shows off the soft touch, goes around the guards, and gets it to sit on the 4-foot for the single. Excellent shot. Alberta up 5-3. Skip to the 9th end. Alberta has a 6-5 lead. Koe with hammer, facing a pair, looking for the double to get the blank, but the 4-time Brier champ can't push that second Yellowstone out. It's a steal of 1, so Alberta has a 7-5 lead. Now in the 10th. Koe, again with hammer, needs at least 2 to force an extra end, goes for the angle raise, and it ticks his own. Koe that close to a 3 spot for the win. Instead, we're heading to an extra end. So in the 11th, Bottcher with hammer, facing 3, needs full 4-foot for the win. Bottcher, perfect draw weight, right to the pin. Bottcher's first win against Koe at the Brier since 2017. Both teams are now 7-2.
Tim Hortons Brier Championship Pool Play. The Glen Howard Wildcard Rink skipped by Wayne Middaugh, facing John Epping and Ontario. First end, Middaugh with hammer, and a chance for 3 points. Just got to touch the 4-foot, and that is perfect by the skipper. The Howard Middaugh Rink opened the scoring. It's 3-zip. Third end, after Ontario got one back in the second. Middaugh, a chance to draw for a couple and take a 4-point lead. That draw comes in a little heavy and is too deep. The Howard Middaugh combo settle for a single. It's 4-1. Next end, after Middaugh came up late on his last. Huge opportunity for Epping to score as many as 4. Let's listen in right before the shot.
Oh, okay. You're right.
The rest is up to the curling gods, brother.
Okay.
Just throw it the best you can.
So, maybe calling on the curling gods for this one. Here we go. Epping, a triple chance for 4.
Get it through that door. Get it through. He's through. What do you got? Bang, bang. Oh, and he'll move it enough.
And what a shot by the skipper. Just like that, Ontario on top 5-4 as Middaugh can't believe it. Fifth end, Middaugh looking at the angle, tap back for the single. Makes the tap, gets a little tick off the red and converts for the 1 point. This one is all tied at 5 apiece. To the 6th end, Epping's first with hammer. Hits their own, which kicks out the yellow, and look at this roll. Right into the 4-foot, and Ontario is sitting shot stone and a great chance at multiple points.
Oh, nice.
After Middaugh hit and rolled out, Epping, a short range takeout to score 3, and that is no mistake by the skipper. Ontario takes a 3-point lead. It's 8-5.
Right there, 1, 2, and 3.
Now to the 7th, Middaugh, a chance for a couple right back, a draw for 2. The scrubbers are on it, trying to get around those reds, and it gets there after the rub and roll. The Howard Middaugh team is back in it. They're down 8-7. Next end, Middaugh, an opportunity to put the pressure on. Needs a great draw, but that comes in heavy and goes too deep. Epping would make the draw for a couple, and just like that, it's 10-7, Ontario. Ninth end, Middaugh with hammer, trying to come through the port, tap the red, and get a couple back. It's a tough shot. It gets through the port. It rubs their own, but they have to settle for a single. And the Ontario and Epping rink go on to win the game. They take this one 10-8, the final.
Draw 21 at the Tim Hortons Brier. Brad Gushue and Team Canada taking on Glenn Howard's wildcard rink, skipped by Wayne Middaugh. Gushue going to work early. First end, has hammer, sitting one, just needs full 8-foot for the deuce, and he gets it, slides it right to the pin. Canada jumps out to a quick 2-0 lead. Fourth end, Canada now up 2-1. Middaugh is last without hammer, facing two. Middaugh looking for the double to wipe out both of those yellow stones, but can't line it up. So now it's Gushue with hammer, sitting one, and the defending champion with excellent draw weight scores the deuce. Gushue and Canada take a 4-1 lead. In the seventh, Canada now up 4-2. Gushue with hammer, has second shot stone, curls it around that red, but can't tap it back far enough. Canada held to a single, it's 5-2. Next end, Gushue's first without hammer, applying the pressure, curls it to the tee line, and that's sitting four. Nice shot. Team Wildcard forced to a single, and that's as close as they'd get. The Howard Middaugh rink lose back-to-back games for the first time in the tournament. Gushue and Canada improved to 8-3.
That's where you wanted Scotty to put it.
Final draw of championship pool play at the Tim Hortons Brier. And based on other results in the draw, this was win or go home. Alberta, skipped by Brendan Bottcher, facing Team Canada and Brad Gushue. Second end, no score. Gushue facing a couple with his first without hammer, trying the double, but he cannot make it. Gushue would miss a double on his last, and that set up a chance for Bottcher to score multiple points. So here we go. Bottcher with hammer, the hit and stick for a couple and to take the early lead, and Bottcher makes it. Alberta goes on top, 2-zip. To the third end, Gushue with hammer, trying the double and roll out for the blank. That is a miss as he stuffs it. A steal of one for Alberta. They go on top, 3-zip. To the fourth end we go. Gushue and Team Canada in some big trouble. Facing three, looking for the single. That is so light. It ends up being a steal of three for Alberta. Gushue curled just 67% in the game. Alberta is in full control. They lead 6-zip. To the fifth end, Bottcher sitting one with his first without hammer, trying to knock that yellow out, makes the hit and removes the yellow rock. Now Alberta is sitting three. They would go on to steal another point, and they go on to beat Team Canada 8-2 the final, and that eliminates the defending champion Gushue rink. Alberta will now play Saskatchewan in the semi-final.
Over to curling now, and the women put on quite a show at the Scotties last month inside the Calgary bubble, and now the men are following suit at the Brier. Saturday marked the final day of championship pool play, and there was still plenty to be decided as 6 teams were battling out for those top 3 spots in the standings and a right to advance to Sunday's playoffs. So let the games begin. And we begin with Matt Dunstone in Saskatchewan, trying to stay at 3 losses, facing Manitoba. Third end is where we're going to start. Saskatchewan up 2-1. Dunstone has a chance for 3. Just got to chip that yellow out and sit around. Dunstone does so as Saskatchewan goes on to win it 9-6. And that leads us to the Kevin Koe rink. With a win, they clinch first, and they're taking on the Glenn Howard team, skipped by Wayne Middaugh, who now need a win to stay alive. We're in the 9th end. The Howard-Middaugh combo down 6-4. Middaugh chance for 2 to tie it up, needs to avoid the jam, but that is a big mess. It ended up being a steal of 1, and a little frustrated. 7-4 Koe in front. Next end, Middaugh still with hammer, trying to make the double and stick around for 3 and force an extra end. Gets both but loses the shooter, so the Koe rink books its spot in the final, and that ends the great run for the Howard-Middaugh combo. Let's finish it off with Alberta, skipped by Brendan Bottcher, facing Team Canada and Brad Gushue. It's win or go home, both rinks at 3 losses. Fourth end, Team Canada down 3-zip and in some big trouble, facing 3, looking for the single, but that is way too light. Ends up being a steal of 3. Alberta rolls to victory into the semifinal, while the reigning champs are eliminated. Lots of drama as we look at the playoff bracket at the Tim Hortons Brier. No page playoff system this year, so the first place team in the championship pool goes straight to the final. Bottcher will look to make it an all-Alberta final. He'll be taking on Dunstone in Sunday's semi, and we'll have that match for you 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific.
It's the semifinal of the Tim Hortons Brier. Brendan Bottcher and his Alberta rink looking to get back to the final for a 4th straight year. Meanwhile, Matt Dunstone trying to lead Saskatchewan to their first Brier title since 1980. Saskatchewan up 2-1. Dunstone's first without hammer makes the excellent double to sit 5, applying some pressure on the Alberta rink. So now Bottcher, in some trouble with hammer, makes the double and sticks it on the 4-foot to score the single. Bottcher, avoiding a possible disaster, ties it at 2. Next end, skip stones. Alberta has shot stone. Dunstone's first, trying to run his own stone back and kick out the red to sit 2, but he wipes out his own. Saskatchewan held to the single. They lead 3-2. 7th end, Alberta sitting 1. Bottcher has hammer, looking at a messy house, trying to get through that very small port and score the deuce. Bottcher gets it through clean, but can't roll off that yellow stone for the deuce. Great shot, but Alberta held to the single. Now in the 8th, tied at 3. Dunstone has hammer, facing 2, looking at a hit to score the single, but Dunstone has the shooter spill too far. It's the first stolen point of the game. Alberta takes the lead for the first time. Next end, Saskatchewan finally looking at a chance for 2. Dunstone with hammer, just needs a piece of the 4-foot to score the deuce, and he gets it. Saskatchewan takes a 5-4 lead heading to the 10th. So Saskatchewan has shot stone in the 10th. Bottcher with hammer, needs a deuce for the win, attempting a very difficult angle raise.
Trying to take that next step to get to the final. Bronze medal a year ago. Alberta, 3 straight silver medals, trying to get back to the final, trying to maybe win their first. Angle this back for a possible 2. Have they got this? Have they? Yes, they do!
What a shot by Bottcher. Alberta walks it off. Dunstone loses back-to-back Brier semifinals by a single point. Bottcher into the final for the 4th straight year, where he'll take on Kevin Koe.
It is the Tim Hortons Brier Championship Final and a battle of Alberta. Brendan Bottcher and Alberta. Bottcher has lost in 3 straight Brier finals, taking on Kevin Koe, who is trying to sit alone at the top with a record 5th Brier title as a skip. First end, Bottcher's last without hammer, trying the raise takeout. And Bottcher makes it, and the opening end went on to blank. It's 0-0. To the 3rd end, still no score. Koe rink facing a couple with hammer, just needs a draw to a nice chunk of the 8-foot for a single. No problem for the skipper, and the Koe rink opens the scoring in the Brier final. It's 1-0. Let's go to the 5th. Still 1-0 for the Koe rink. Second stones. Koe's team, John Morris eyeing down the double takeout, and that is real nice by Morris. 7th end, the Koe rink up 1-0, facing a couple, and what a bad break, because out of Koe's hand on his first without hammer, the rock picks, and it just sails right through the rings. Then, after Bottcher made a hit and stick to sit 3, Koe going for the double and to limit the damage, but he can't make it, and that leaves the door open for Bottcher to score 3. So here we go. Bottcher drawing, and the skipper converts that as Alberta goes on top 3-1 with just 3 ends to go as Bottcher eyes his first Brier title. To the 8th end, Koe facing 5 with hammer, looking at the double and to score the 1. By the guard it goes, he makes it, and the red moves far enough. What a great shot, and what a big single for the Koe rink as they trail 3-2 going to the 9th. Bottcher, a chance for a double and to regain that 3-point lead coming home. Makes the hit, but doesn't kick that yellow away. Alberta settles for a single, but they do go on top 4-2 going to the 10th. Koe's first with hammer, trying to angle tap his own back onto the red, but that is a miss and allows an opening for Bottcher to hit and stick to lie 3 and basically not give Koe much on his last. So now Bottcher trying to baby 3.
Don't baby it. And they will sit right there.
Team Koe looking things over, and they don't see anything, and that was it.
Is there a miracle here somewhere? No. Congratulations. Finally, 4 is the charm for Brendan Bottcher.
And after losing 3 straight Brier finals, Brendan Bottcher and his rink win the Brier. They take it over the Koe rink for 2, the final.
This year, for the 8th time, the Brier came to Calgary. 18 of the best teams in our country took part, all hoping to put their names on the tankard. For nearly 100 years, our National Men's Curling Championship has been so very special. It's a 10-day celebration of both a sport and a country that we all love so much. In normal times, thousands of fans pack the stands, all cheering for their favorite teams. There's usually not a seat to be had. And when the action on the ice ends, well, that's when things really do pick up. Over the years, the Brier has become just as famous for being a party as it is for being a curling event. And here in Calgary, a city known for its legendary parties, the Brier fits perfectly. But these, of course, are not normal times. 10 days ago, we wondered what this Brier would be like. The Scotties had shown us that it would indeed be different. And it was. What this year's Brier missed the most was you, the fans. Imagine how the crowd would have enjoyed the spirit of Team Quebec. Imagine the roars from a packed arena each and every time Wayne Middaugh made a game-winning shot. Imagine a full building tonight as 2 Alberta teams fought for the Brier title right here in Calgary. Yes, we still got to see many of the things that make the Brier great. The passion shown by all the teams was just like always. The shot making, the drama, the camaraderie, that was all still very much here. But boy, did we miss those other things about the Brier. The most prominent number this year here in Calgary was 0. But that's not all a bad thing. Yes, it told the story of the first ever Brier with no one in attendance, but it also represented something so much more important. For the last month here in the bubble, after thousands of COVID tests, there have been 0 positive results. 0 reasons not to feel safe. 0 times the bubble was burst. It is proof that if we all follow the rules, all work together to be safe, that life and the Brier will soon return to normal. Next year's Brier will take place down the road in Lethbridge. The NMAX Center has more than 5,000 seats. And won't it be nice when they all are full?